I'll be kicking off the first talk here. We've got a fantastic lineup of speakers, and I'm really excited to be here with you and to share with you some great knowledge. And before we get going with everything, I'm going to start my own talk, and I will be talking about having an AI-powered culture. So let's hope technology works here. I will get my slides up and be able to start sharing with you in terms of the presentation that I want to share with you as well. So AI and culture are two of the hottest topics right now. Culture is so important because it's all about people and how to create an incredible, inspiring workplace. But AI is taking the world by storm, and everybody's kind of struggling to figure out, how do we do this and what do we do with it? So I'm going to be talking about how we can transform businesses for the future and using both those two kind of levers to pull on. So as I mentioned, my name is Karin Volo. I'm actually certified AI advisor and consultant, and I'm also known as a chief joybringer. I've enjoyed working with inspiring workplaces for almost a decade now. They'll be celebrating their 10 years next year, so I'm excited about that. And so let's get going with what I want to share with you here. There is a big promise that I want to give you, and basically, properly integrated AI is going to make you a more profitable, productive, and powerful company. And we often hear that people are afraid of losing their jobs or what's going to happen to them. But basically, anybody that can work with AI is going to be super powered. And any company that can really integrate AI in a really powerful way is going to be super powered. And there's a lot happening right now. So I will share with you as much as I can in the short time we have together. And I promise I will let you know how you can continue any conversations if you want to after this. So just to give you a little bit of my background and my bigger purpose, I have been coaching and training, mentoring leaders for over 25 years globally. I'm half American, half Swedish, and I've worked all over the world with culture and helping to support with leadership development. And I have a really strong belief that we can use business as a force for good. Most of the leaders that I end up working with also have that belief. And I think, that's why I love working with inspiring workplaces as well, because it's a community here and it's a global community where we share that kind of belief and that we can have a people first type of environment. So the other thing is I'm always very curious about new trends and what's coming. And so just on a real short personal level, in 2023, I got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, unfortunately, and went through a very long ordeal with that, but got over it. I'm fine now and healthy, but I felt really behind when it came to AI. And I actually started studying AI about a year ago now, just because I thought I have to understand what this is all about. I don't get it. And I'm sure many of you might be in the same boat or remember being in that boat as well, because we all have been there. And I dove in and I realized this is a paradigm shift, a massive change in the world that's happening right now. And so I actually made the decision to become certified in this because I think it's going to have such an impact. And my area really where I love to focus is how is it going to impact the culture? What's going to happen? So I'm not a techie person, but I know that this is really something that is changing the world. And I sometimes call it an equalizer because we're all in the same boat, getting started and figuring out how to work with this. But ultimately, my main focus is helping people and organizations to reach their full potential and to basically have joy at work. Why can't we have joy at work, right? So let me start sharing with you what I have kind of found over the last year in terms of AI and having culture and working with that. There's almost like this great divide happening right now. And I've seen this prior to kind of the AI taking the market by storm, also with purpose-driven companies. So a company that is purpose-driven, that has a very clear purpose statement, are having a much easier time being able to recruit great talent and retain their top people in the company. And now we've kind of overlaid this layer of AI on top of it. And so again, it's another thing that's dividing companies in a different way, actually. And those companies that are not adapting to this quickly are actually being left behind when it comes to AI. And one of the things that I'm seeing is that North America and Asia have actually been pretty early adopters, but for some reason, European countries are lagging behind on this. And AI is changing so quickly and everything is happening so fast that you really need to start to get on that boat and really start to integrate. I kind of look at 2020 2023 is the year when it took the world by storm. Everybody started experimenting, and 2024, 2025 are going to be the years of implementation. And when you have really good workflows with AI and it's implemented into the company really well, what happens is that people are feeling less stressed and they're having more joy at work and they're laughing more and they're able to focus in on higher quality or higher skilled things that help them to feel better at work, basically. So there's, again, this thing that's a force that's making us divide in a certain way as well. So I have been saying there are 4 pillars to culture. The first, and this is the work I've been doing for over a decade. The first is all about engagement and basically having people who are very aligned to the company, the values, the purpose, and they really do want to make a difference. The company is making a difference externally to the market, to their customers, but also internally by creating a great and amazing culture. The second pillar is basically the purpose and the values. And companies really need to have this. It's a foundational piece. When you are guided by this bigger purpose, it's something that you're never actually going to get to the end result, get to that goal. It's just going to be something you continually work on. And the values, I often say, are living, breathing values inside of the company. They really are embraced by the people, and it's not just a plaque on the wall. And when you have those two things that can guide the people inside the company, it helps them in terms of making decisions and wanting to move forward with things as well. Over the years, as I've been working with purpose and culture and all of these things, I've been pulled into trust, because trust is almost that foundational piece inside of a company where if it's a high trust organization, there's lots of documentation out there that proves that high trust organizations outperform low trust organizations by 300%. And this is really the foundation, because when you do have high levels of trust, it takes a lot less to get things implemented, so things happen faster. And the other element with AI right now is that there is this level of trust in terms of, can we trust technology? Can we trust these AI companies? Can we trust AI? Can we trust all these different things? So there's interesting conversations happening right now across the globe. And I think we need to be very aware and conscious of how we are using AI and to use it so that it makes sure that it's for the good of humanity. And, when we're talking about people first companies, making sure that we use AI in a way that is beneficial for people as well. And then the fourth pillar for the culture is basically having leaders who care. And that is really basically authentic leaders who really want to connect deeply with their teams and their people, and to show that they care. Since 2020 and the global pandemic, this has been a major shift in terms of leadership skills that we need to have: compassion and empathy and understanding and listening skills, right? So all of those things show that you care, and that helps to anchor people into the company. People are attracted to a company for the purpose and the culture and all those things, but they actually leave the company because they might have a manager that isn't aligned with them. And so it's really important that we get managers and leaders up to speed and, caring genuinely about people. So what I'm finding over the last 6 months, basically, is there are 3 steps to your cultural evolution, and it's tied into, using AI and technology, but also focusing in on the people. And I think we need to have a really good balance between those two, because if we just focus only on the tech and the AI, we're going to lose a lot of the human element. And so we need to balance that out and make sure that we have those deep connections with the people, right? So the first element is the people. Having good engagement at work, having people in the right people in the right jobs doing the right things. And that's really important in terms of creating an environment where everyone is moving forward. And as I mentioned, it's anchored in the purpose and the values as well. The second step here is really to focus in on productivity. And productivity is something that we've been talking about for decades. Gallup measures it on, different KPIs. And now with AI, all of a sudden, you have a lever here that can really push the productivity and super boost the productivity in ways that we haven't seen before. So when you have AI weaved into workflows that free up people's time from mundane tasks, it actually increases the productivity tremendously. Something that used to take, months or weeks or days can take literally minutes or max hours for doing things, and so it frees up a lot of time. So I'm going to focus in on that when we have continue on with the rest of what I'm going to share today. But I just want to share the last element, as I mentioned earlier, is this level of trust. And trust, again, is very foundational. I've been teaching trust with organizations for a number of years and going deep into the neuroscience of that. And basically, the overlay on this again with AI is, do we trust this technology? And we do have a lot of security issues and questions that are coming up as well. So it's a lot right now for everybody to take in, and well, we'll see as to why implementation is being so slow. And the core reason, or one of the main reasons, is basically because there's a lot of overwhelm for people. If you're just getting into it, or you're first of all, initially, people are afraid. They don't know what they don't know. And so there's a lot of fear, and there is actually a lot of fear mongering around AI, that it's, bad for the world and it's going to take over. When you start to look at it and you start to experiment with it and you start to see some of the possibilities, it actually gets your curiosity going and it makes you want to learn more. But it's very easy to be overwhelmed in that stage as well, because there's 15,500 new AI startups that are affecting or impacting about 14,500 different tasks. And that's actually impacting close to 5,000 different jobs. And so it's very easy to get overwhelmed with this. And one of the reasons I chose to get certified is because I have a team behind me that is full-time looking at all the new AIs, testing them, and they can recommend to the people in our group that are getting certified which ones to use. So that saves a lot of time and effort and energy to figure out what do we work with. The second reason it's being very slow to implement is also because people don't know what's possible. Like I said, what you don't know. And when you start to see it, it starts to open up and expand your mind and make you realize, wow, we could do all sorts of different things with this. And that really starts to drive the motor forward internally with people. People are also scared of the systemic impact that it's going to have. A lot of people don't like change, and they also, are resistant to change. And so we have to kind of show that this is a reward and not a threat in order to get people moving in the right direction. And again, resistant to reducing the human experience. And this is really vital, because we do not want to get rid of the human experience in any way, shape, or form. And oftentimes when we're working with workflows within a company, we often say, keep the human in the loop, right? And then also, change can feel very effortful or expensive when that comes up as well. And it actually, when you do it right, it can save you a lot of money in implementing AI into an organization as well. So there are some considerations that I'd like to share with you in terms of AI from now going forward. One is that there needs to be integration of AI into all business functions. There are many different functions, and there's different ways to use AI in all those different functions. And it's a matter of learning to use the right AI in the right place at the right time. And right now, there's a huge demand for AI skills. A prompt engineer is one of the most in demand positions right now, and they're getting upwards of 300,000 per year just for that position. But once a prompt is written, if it's really well written, you can reuse it over and over and over again. So it's important to know that as you are working with prompts, you can create assets for the business as well. And if you work with, someone who knows what they're doing, they can actually give you really good prompts as well. I'm actually pretty excited about it, because I have a spreadsheet with over 30,000 different prompts that we can use in all the different areas of the business. I mentioned this earlier, but keeping human in the loop, that's a term we use a lot. And it's making sure that we don't get rid of the human aspect for this. So AI is great. It's not 100%. It may be 80 or 90% of doing the job or their task, but you definitely want to have people, humans, us, making sure that it's doing the right things. And it continues to learn, so it's getting better and better. And today is like the worst AI is ever going to be. And that happens every single day. So it's only improving by leaps and bounds and exponentially. And then lastly is the ethical considerations and awareness. And this is something that I'm hearing a little bit of, but it's a conversation that we need to also be having. And it relates back to the trust, as I mentioned. What are the ethics around this? And just to have an awareness, especially with privacy and things like that. And I think part of the reason AI is a bit slower to get adapted in Europe right now is because we do have the GDPR and a lot more, I think, stringent privacy laws here than maybe other parts of the world. And so countries are trying to figure out what's the best way to manage this. There are some definite actions you can take here. You want to elevate leaders who care. That's really important. Again, focus in on that caring aspect, because as people are freeing up their time, they want to have better relationships. And that's one of the things that's really going to be focusing in to create that inspiring and amazing type of workplace and culture. Definitely want to invest in developing your people. I'm seeing a lot of companies that are reskilling employees that maybe their jobs are getting so impacted by AI that they're reskilling them in higher level or in higher thinking functions as well. So for example, IKEA had 8,500 people working inside of the company in customer care and customer service, and they started using chatbots. And so they took that group of people who knew the company well and invested in them and reskilled them, or are reskilling them to new tasks, so that they are freed up to do better things and more high value things for the organization. Focus on culture. Let's not forget that. I always say culture is the glue to any organization and bringing it together. So that's really important. And then we can use AI to enhance our strengths and not to replace them. So how can we make ourselves better and more efficient and more productive so that we free up our own time to be even more creative and can do even better things? And then increase productivity through AI-assisted workflows. As I've mentioned, having AI in the right place at the right time is really key and instrumental as well. So let me just share with you a 6-step process for what we call AI-ifying a business. And this is how we work with, consulting in terms of shifting that cultural transformation and making an AI-powered culture. So the first step is basically about identifying the right area to come in and have that impact. So there's different areas of the business, and every business is very different. So we have to kind of look at that very closely but figure out what's the best entry point there to do the work that we do. Second step then would be to, once we've identified that, is to interview those team members and really find out what they're doing, how they're doing their workflows, and really kind of get a good idea of that, so that we can come and basically come up with good ideas and solutions that will work for you. And oftentimes, when I'm working with this, I will suggest 2 or 3 different types of AIs in a process. And because of the knowledge that I'm gaining in the certification group, I actually can narrow it down from those 15,000 to say, okay, in this place, this would be the best place to do these. And sometimes it actually, we'll strategize with different ideas and come up so that you can get a good overview of what's the best way to move forward on your options there. Sometimes, stage 4, you'll need to have bespoke solutions as well, so we can develop those and work with that as well. So like I said, every company is very different, and finding the right solutions for the right time as well. And then from there, it's basically implementing and experimenting, testing them, and also training up the team so that they're working with it really well. There's a lot of training that's going on, a lot of mindset training initially also, because of the paradigm shift that we're experiencing right now. And then the last step, step 6, is basically to monitor and tweak if there's anything that needs to be adjusted, or basically to help have that be the most maximum potential for what you're doing with the AI. So those are the steps that I work with when I'm working in terms of companies. And you can do this on your own. You can do it with a consultant. You can do it in any way that you find possible. But this is really how we can start to be very concrete in bringing AI into an organization and being able to take that next step forward as well. And when it's systematized, and this is what I'm seeing right now, is that we really do need to systematize how we are working with AI. There's a lot to do, but if you break it down from management to the team to the individual level, it doesn't get as overwhelming. And that's really where the magic starts to happen, because you start to empower the individual, that then goes on to the team, and then it works its way back up to the whole organization as well. So that's kind of an overview. And basically, how do you get started with this? If this was something of interest, personally, this is how I work with companies. We do assessments. It takes anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, and we can do a future ready assessment where we go in and really look at what's your current tech situation, how are you capturing your data, and then how is your team in terms of adoption and their capabilities to be able to do that. And so we can get a full assessment, and that will help to identify which are the core areas where we could have the biggest impact. And then the other assessment that I also can work with is basically AI opportunity assessment. And that's basically where can AI benefit you the most, and which workflows can be AIified, and what AI competencies do you have inside of the organization that already exist, and then how can we optimize those and make it, new AIs are coming all the time, so it's good to stay on top of it as well. So those are the two core areas in terms of how I do work with companies. And one of the things that comes out from that as well is understanding how you can use AI, but then also looking at the automation of the organization. And so sometimes those are identified as well. So if this sounds like something of interest, I'm happy to talk to you about this. We can future-proof the company and the revenue together. I also have a free resource there that you can see. I love to give out reports to people. We have actually an AI and culture report that we wrote earlier this year. But I have reports on trust, the ROI of trust and culture and virtual activities, and how do you get engagement going. So that's a great resource for you. And if you do want to book a call with me, then you're welcome to do that as well. You can just click on that or take a picture of that as well. So I wanted to just give you an overview on how we can use AI in a very concrete way inside of a company and inside of an organization, because this is not going to go away. It's actually here to stay. And it's one of those things that the sooner we get on that boat and start moving it forward, the more powerful it will be for your company. And you don't want to wait too long. The reason being for this is that things are moving so fast that we need to basically get up to speed on that. And really, the companies that are adopting AI really well right now are shooting ahead, and it's going to be really hard to catch up with that. So that's one of my concerns, actually, why Europe is a little bit behind on this, because it's like we need to get up to speed on this, because we don't want to be left behind on this at all. But I think everybody does it in their own time in the right way, and I think eventually it reminds me of when internet came out or when email came out. Now I'm dating myself, but you remember, basically it was, something new and people didn't want to use it. And then all of a sudden it's just how we do business and how we do our work, right? And it's the same thing now with AI, but we're on an accelerated exponential change right now. And like I said, it's a paradigm shift in how we think and how we look at the world and all of those different things. So I'm just going to check if there were any questions coming in or any comments. I would love to hear from you. We can actually take a look here if there are anything. And if not, then I can start to introduce the next speaker, which I'm super excited to share with you. Shall we get rid of the slides and just get the full screen up? So yeah, there we go. So I can see you again on the big screen. And, I've really been able to learn a lot over the last year with this, and I'm super excited to be able to share some of this, and it's going to be just something that's going to continue for all of us.